Okay, so the project that we were charged with was to put together an application that allowed us to communicate information to family members of their parents and brothers and siblings that would be receiving in-home care or care in a nursing facility. So the project here was put with one challenge, and the challenge was to create a project that didn't add extra work onto the caregiver themselves. So what we looked to do was try to leverage the existing information that was already being collected in other tools and take that information and give that information down to the family so that the family would have the information they need. So what we've developed so far right now is the web application, and we've decided that this is probably the best suited for a web app because it provides the most flexibility, the most cost-effective way to deliver this information. So what we currently have right now is the application which allows the caregiver themselves to register themselves. In this particular case, we picked Sunrise Assisted Living, which just is the name we grabbed out of the hat. And this allows, what you would see here on this list is the very different organizations that have joined us. So when they go ahead and they look at their application, they would see their information, and then down below their information they would have the list of all of the residents that have chose to sign up to this application. So the way we would envision it is that family members would choose to have their family, their loved ones sign up for this. So what you're looking at is the resident information. In this particular case, we have one particular resident that sits here. It's a female, it's a resident ID. The important thing here is that we don't carry or we don't have any personal information coming from the existing institution or the existing caregiver. So we're not receiving any personal information, we're receiving ID information. So in this particular case, what we have is we have an ID number. And then from the ID number, we're able to give a little bit of information as to who this patient is. And from this information, we now can see a list of medications that the patient's taking, how long they've been on that medication, what the frequency is. We also see their meals that they've been doing for the day, for the week. So we can give this information out to the family members, and we can push this information to a mobile app, or we're referring to as a web app. So what this would look like would be something similar to this. And this is what we envision that they would see, is they would have an application on their phone that they could sign in, and as they sign in, they get director information as to what facility they're living in, who are the contact people. They would get important information regarding the patient as to what's happening, and they would also be able to see things like the meals that are being planned for that week, that day. They were able to store personal legal information, directives, advanced directives, and the various information, and then they can receive other pertinent, relevant information that could be stored on the app for them. So the important thing that this does is it takes the information that's already being collected by the organization, and it just takes part of that information and disseminates that information down to the family member.
Thank you very much. Question?
Yeah, so I'm not sure about the Canadian legal impact, but how would this be as far as compliance with Hipaa in the U.S.?
It's definitely compliant. There's no doubt about it. We're not sending any personal information regarding the resident. We're sending tag numbers. So you would be assigned, or your family member would be assigned a tag number. That's why you didn't see the name of the information. We just sent you a number. So when you went into the organization and you decided, hey, I want to sign up for this because I want to see what's happening with my family member, and the staff are going to love it because they don't need to reach out to you. You're going to get this information in the background. They give you your 7-digit or your 8-digit number, and that's what you use when you go home to get to your computer. You punch in that 7-8-digit number, and then that information will come to you. So with not transferring any personal information, you would not be able to tag that any individual with that information that's coming across, just the number.
How do you get to a point of standardization? I mean, all these different facilities have different systems.
You will never get to standardization. Never. You're not going to get there. So how are you
going to manage all those different types of
feeds? We would
feeds?
have to go to each individual organization. Our IT team would work with their IT team. One of the nice things about the standardization in the background, if we want to use that word, is that the data itself is typically sitting in a standardized format. And we can tap into that data, and we can have that pushing back and forth, and it would come into ours. So really the only standardized format would be ours, and then we would work with the various different types of companies that are providing, like Point Click and Point Care and stuff like that. You would get that information.
How are you going to entice the caregiver to use this platform?
The caregiver doesn't have to use this platform. That's the nice thing about it. The caregiver just keep doing what you're doing with whatever it is you're using. We will tap in the background, and that's one of the nice things about the caregiver, and that was a challenge. We can't give them a new tool. They're already overworked. They have too much to do as it is, but yet they still have that obligation to communicate with the family. So we're going to take what they're already doing, massage it, and give it to the family when the family wants it. The right information to the right person at the right time.
Okay, thank you very much.